Well, good morning, Lionhearts. It's a beautiful day outside, and John and I are going to go hit Griffith Park for a little hike. You want to come too? We have to go all the way up this sidewalk, and that's not even the start of the hike. Fun times. It's field trip day out in the park. We're going out for a hike, but it looks like half of a junior high or half of an elementary school's out here. Well, we made it out here to the park, the Steve Martin part of the park I showed you guys the other day. I haven't exactly decided what we're going to do today. I have a couple of ideas. I'm kind of narrowing it down to one in particular, and I think it's going to be a hit or miss with this one. There's no guarantee as to what I'm going to get to show you, and that sucks, but I really want to do it. I've been planning it, and this is that secret one I've been talking about for a while. Well, in the span of about 5 minutes, I've changed my mind already. Since I'm here, I'm gonna do Rebel Without a Cause filming locations. I mean, I'm literally gonna end up there anyway. Why not? A lot of people take photo shoots down here. This little like rock cavern area. I guess it's not really a dam because that's where it all ends. Way up at the top, you see the Griffith Observatory. And that is our goal for today. And every day we go hiking out here, that is always our goal. We're getting there. You know, Rebel Without a Cause is just kind of a weird movie to me, because James Dean plays like pretty much the father figure to everybody in that movie. Plato, played by Sal Mineo, looks at Jim as his father, and even Jim's own father, played by Jim Backus, aka Mr. Magoo and Thurston Howell. Throughout the movie, you see him just wearing his wife's apron, or maybe not even his wife's apron, his apron. Finally, to the point where he drops something and starts freaking out that his wife's gonna find out it's broke, and Jim has to tell him, like, stop.
Don't. I mean, you should. Don't.
Stop being like this. So it's kind of a weird undercurrent, and many of the scenes that are bonding scenes between Plato and Jim happen right up there. I've been wanting to do this one for a long time, but I've been putting it off because I really wanted to get up here super early before everybody got up here, but it looks like, from what I can see here, there's not a lot of people up there. And that class, the field trip, they were leaving, so this might be the perfect day. Who knows? Well, we're getting there. Right there. Now, this is the end of our trail, and the first time I saw Rebel Without a Cause, my eyes popped out of my head, because this is where you see James Dean and Natalie Wood run out from when they show up at the observatory. The shot would have been off to the side. Let me show you. The shot would actually be from right here. They'd come running out here. And right here is where we would have seen James Dean and Natalie Wood come running out and running into the observatory to look for Plato. Now, right over here, overlooking the Los Angeles skyline, right up here is where we see, well, it's the first time that we actually see the observatory used in the movie. And what we see is we see the car parked right here, parallel to this. And we would have seen James Dean right there with Plato as Natalie Wood and all the ruffians are trying to taunt him and pick get him to pick into a fight. Now once James Dean and Plato both come down here,
Pick it up.
a real key part to the movie happens right here in this corner. Because right here is where he's called a chicken.
Crud chicken, though, you told me that.
And he just flips a switch and they throw a knife at him. He picks up the knife, and that's where they threaten to have this knife fight. It eventually pulls out back into here, and it all takes place right here, right in this section right here, before they end up going and having the big drag race. But how crazy is that? And right here, I'm standing in the exact same spot where James Dean would have been cornered, and what he would have been looking at around him. This is what he would have been looking at as he was playing that scene, and the cameras would have been right over here in this corner, and him just putting on that magnificent performance right here. Now right here is the corner that James Dean would have been standing at, right here.
Come on, let's go.
And he would have been looking down for that scene right here. So you're actually getting his actual point of view. He would have had his hands and arms right up here resting on this. He would have been looking down, being taunted.
I told you not to fool with those guys. Now they're laying for you.
Now later on in the movie, when they all end up here at night looking for Plato, they end up going inside and they find him around the center part, which is also where one of the main dance scenes in La La Land takes place. So let's go in and I'll show you where James Dean, Natalie Wood, and Sal Mineo would have been standing around trying to talk Plato into coming out and that everything was going to be okay. I don't think I'm allowed to take John, but I'm going to see if I can just sneak a real quick few bit of seconds, because it's as soon as you open the doors. It's closed right now. It's only open for the private schools that are doing their field trips up here. That's actually what I was trying to see. They would have been walking around that, and eventually they would have come out these doors right here.
Officers, another boy and girl just ran into the planetarium. We don't know if they're armed.
And we would have seen, driving up this pathway over here to the side, we would have seen the cop car with Jim's parents in it and everybody that was going to try and talk Plato out of doing anything drastic. And when we finally see it all happen, the massive showdown, we see Plato come out of these doors.
Hey, Ray, you make those guys get back? You know?
And they start shooting him. And one of the crazy things about this is that when you see Jim come to help him in his last seconds of life, we actually see James Dean fall and lay upon this. Right here. And he has his whole body right here and his head right here. And so on vlog 200, when I give away the sunglasses, your sunglasses will have been right where James Dean was, right where his head was, right where jaw is, and right where James Dean sat. Isn't that something? And then we would have seen them walk James Dean and Natalie Wood out into the sheriff's car right over here. And one of the interesting things about this is that, you know, they filmed Star Trek up here. They filmed one of my all-time favorites, The Rocketeer. The big blimp scene was up here. But because it was so well known for Rebel Without a Cause, and Rebel Without a Cause really, well, it really put it on the map. right before James Dean's death, and I know I've mentioned this in a vlog before, but since this is all part of Rebel Without a Cause, I wanted to mention it again. Right before his death, he commissioned a sculptor to make a bust of him, and the sculptor was just said he was mesmerized by the few minutes that he spent with James Dean in order to kind of capture his essence. He said he was absolutely mesmerized, and he ended up making 2 busts of this, in which he dated both of them on the side. One's here, and one is in Indiana, where James Dean's birthplace and burial place is. But right here on the side, you can see where he etched the date and his name and identification for that sculpture. Even though there's some sun, there's kind of an overall view of the observatory grounds. Right directly ahead of us, right where that big tree is, that's where John and I came up and finished the hike, and that's where we would have seen James Dean and Natalie Wood come running out of, just to give you more perspective, since I know I kind of didn't do everything in order. I tried to for the most part. I was trying to take advantage of the fact that though there are few people here, fewer than usual, there are also, as you can see up top, there's a few field trips here, and I was just trying to kind of capture the different places around the observatory where nobody was out at those times. Normally when I'm up here, it's completely packed, so. There you go. We're gonna finish our hike, go home. So what's crazy is if you're crazy enough to continue, there's another hike that you can take that goes all the way up to the top of that mountain. Most times people drive all the way up here and start here and do that one, but I've never actually done that hike before. Maybe I'll do that sometime. Sorry, it's shaky, but John and I decided to run down. John and I are gonna sit up on this hill and hang out, and I kind of figured what better place to do that than a stump with a smiley face. I often see people sitting on this hill meditating, you know, in the yoga pose, kind of the sitting Indian style with the hands up. And you also see a lot of homeless people and people just sitting here pounding down a fifth, like the bottle that was right behind us. John, did you have fun on that hike? Do you want to go home, or do you want to hang out at the park here? You're not giving me any help here. So it just dawned on me that when you guys are actually watching this video, it's gonna be inauguration day. And man, just everybody be safe. I don't know what's gonna happen. I just have a feeling that it's not gonna go smoothly. The festivities and all that stuff. It's just, I just hope there's not needless violence or anybody getting hurt that doesn't, you know, it's not going to solve anything. Check out that old Studebaker. I know my grandpa liked that. I don't think that front piece is original. May be gone from Disneyland, but it's not gone from Hollywood. There's the tower. I finally got mail. I finally got my hood. Hopefully this will be big enough. I thought all 4 of these sides were going to be the same height, but if this doesn't work, I'll look for one that does.